Imagine having a rough day at work and all you want to do is take a break and go home. If you could just have a few minutes to refocus your thoughts, you would be able to be much more effective. Well, if you lived in Spain, you would be able to do this. In Spain, it is common to take a siesta during 2 to 4 p.m. A siesta is a nap taken during the midday, which is usually preceded by a big lunch meal shared with family and friends. Now, before we all buy plane tickets and move to Spain, I think it is important to learn about the history of the siesta. According to David Thyberg, a journalist for USA Today, who wrote an article entitled Culture and Customs in Spain, and said, quote, "Seeking to balance work and pleasure, Spaniards long have practiced the tradition of siesta, when students and professionals return home around midday for a few hours of rest and family time, along with a big lunch." End quote. I think that this is such a beautiful picture of community. That during the middle of the day, one refocuses on what is truly important, and that is spending time with family, eating lunch, and resting one's eyes for a few minutes in order that one will be more effective when you return to work. Where did the Spanish siesta originate from? According to sleep.org, the Spanish siesta originated centuries ago. Why did it originate, one may ask? It originated because it was thought to be a physical necessity. Spanish farmers usually took a siesta during the hottest part of the day in order to restore their energy levels and to avoid the midday sun's strong rays. This site also suggests that the roots of the siesta dates back to ancient Islam. The practice of taking a nap was written in the Islamic law as well as written about in the Quran, and the Romans were also known to take regular naps. Fun fact. Is Spain the only country that participates in the siesta? According to sleep.org, the answer is no. The Spanish siesta is common in Spanish-speaking countries as well as Greece, the Philippines, Italy, and Nigeria. The siesta does not look exactly the same across Spain. Sleep.org states that in northern Spain, where the sun is not that hot and physical breaks aren't required, these people use the siesta as a means to break up their workday and return home to spend time with family and friends, and this is often accompanied with lunch. And after lunch has ended, they return back to work. Due to the break that occurs during 2 to 4 p.m., DonQuixote.org advises travelers to Spain to plan around this time, as many stores and establishments will be closed during this time in order for employees to go home and eat, to spend time with their families, and to take a nap if they so desire. This site also states that although the siesta does exist, this time is really not used to sleep in modern day. Instead, it is used to get from one place to another as people have to travel for their jobs. David Thyberg also notes that 21st century Spain has moved away from the cultural practice of the siesta. This is true in the big cities like Madrid and Barcelona, as they try to keep up with the Western world. But Thyberg also reassures us that this siesta is still practiced by people who live in smaller towns and villages. Sleep.org states, "The siesta is one of the most embraced Spanish traditions, and what a beautiful tradition it is. I can remember when my family and I lived in South Africa, we had a cultural practice similar to the siesta. My dad would come home around 1 for lunch, and my brother and I would just have gotten out of school and would be on our way walking home to eat lunch with our family. I took this time together we had for granted. It was such a special time to reconnect and see how everybody's morning had gone. It was also a time to encourage one another with what we had to accomplish for the rest of the day. After lunch, Dad would go back to work, my brother and I would do homework, and my mom and sister would continue with their day. I think that eating meals together as a family has such a wonderful impact on all who attend, and I wish more people would do it." And that is the end of my speech.